Speaking of India, you mentioned in your blog post that you there are two philosophies that you go into, right? Which can be a trap when it comes down to people falling into addiction. So, can you break down those two philosophies that you spoke about, and why is it important to understand when we're talking about bad addictions?
Sure. I think what you're calling philosophies are two different states, actually. One is
States.
called, and this is in Sanskrit, so this comes from the Indian scriptures, the Vedas. My wife and I are both long term students of these scriptures. Um, so the two states that you're talking about are raga and devesha. Raga means attachment. I want this. I need this. And dvesha means aversion. I don't want that. I don't want that. That's not what I want. So most of us uh, get very stuck in our lives of wanting something or not wanting something. Oh, I like this. I want more of it. I want more money. I want more sex. I want more food. I want more friendship. Or, I don't want to be uncomfortable. I don't want to be cold. I don't want, and they're pushing away or they're pulling, pushing, pushing, pulling. That push pull is actually not living in the moment. I'll explain what I mean by that in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is the cause for suffering because we can't control what comes to us and we just have to know how to deal with it. So I'll give you a good example. On a basketball court, for instance, I work with a lot of athletes, Olympic athletes to little leaguers. On a basketball court, if someone passes you the ball, you don't go, "Oh, I don't like that pass." You don't pass to me like that. You don't do that, okay? Because if you do that, you're going to lose the game. So it's accepting. Sports are a great analogy for this because athletes
Mm-hmm.
know how to be in the moment, and so this comes to the core of the issue, which is really the best place to be is in a place of acceptance, not raga, attachment, devesha, aversion. Just accept this. This is what's happening. I accept it. So important that you don't confuse acceptance with like or love. You don't have to like it. You don't have to love it. You just accept it. Plants in the garden, if it's really raining, plants don't go, "Oh, too much rain." They don't do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the deal. You mentioned about India. So I'm also a long-term student and practitioner of Indian medicine, Ayurveda. It's all nature. We're part of nature. As we are part of nature, that means we just accept what comes to us as an opportunity for growth. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
That's the real deal. We're not trying to push around reality.
Got it. Now, how does someone get into that mindset? I guess, for us, like if you're in the West, yeah, I guess you're kind of surrounded by a bunch of stimuli, right? That tends to take you away from that state of being in acceptance. So how does one really practice getting into that state, just being in our current society?
Well, I want to say something about what you just said. Nothing is taking you away. You are taking yourself away.
Mm-hmm.
I work with, I just spent a day with a group of student interns that I had this summer. Great kids, really great. Um, every time we had a break, the very first thing and this place we had a break, they put out snacks. That was really great. You could go outside. As soon as we had a break, they get okay. Nothing
Yeah.
is making them do that. All right. They're attached, if not addicted, to their telephones. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So so I've lost track with your question. Um, Tell me again what you want me to respond to here.
Yeah, so like because oftentimes like you're saying that you want to like stay in a state of just being in acceptance, right? Not playing in that
Right.
um
Yeah.
push and pull game, but we're surrounded by a bunch of I mean specifically let's say for the younger generation, right? Because there's all kinds of stimulation that comes in the form of screens and just
Sure.
the
Sure.
way that our society is set up, right? So like how do you get into that state of being in acceptance when you're surrounded by all this stimuli?
Well, this is an incredibly basic answer. You learn to be connected to your breath.
There
Why?
we go.
You really watch, and you could. I would encourage you, Shaq, yourself. The next time you start scrolling or doom scrolling, check out your breath. Chances are you're not really breathing steadily. You're actually holding your breath. Okay. Now,
Hmm.
I didn't invent breathing. Thousands of years ago, all the Eastern arts of meditation are based on the breath. Why is that? Because when you are breathing continuously and steadily, you are in a state of acceptance. You are in a state of presence. You are in a place where you can move from. The present is the field of action. The past is gone, future hasn't come. Present is the field of action. So another
Hmm.
example, I work with a lot of test takers. So I'm a performance psychologist. You may have said this already. I'm a performance psychologist. I'm not a therapist. I have focused for the last 40 years on what it is that people need to do to perform at their best, at whatever they're doing, whether they're a rock star or they're an athlete or they're a lawyer or a dentist or a parent. So I've worked with all of those people over the last 40 years. What they first need to do is get themselves into the present moment. And when you're talking about acceptance, if you're not in the present, you're just going to be thinking about what you want it to be or what you didn't want it to be, again, raga devesha, and you're not in a state of acceptance. Okay? Again,
Hmm.
think of the athlete, on the court. They accept what's happening and they go with it. We should all use that model.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, pro athletes they talk about this all the time, right? How like breathing is extremely important. Like I'm not sure if someone like a Novak Djokovic. He talks
Yes,
about breathing quite a bit, right? So like
he
that's
does.
really important in his thing. Yeah. So speaking of breathing, like okay, this might sound kind of weird because obviously we breathe all the time, right? But like, what is like the right, flow and type of breathing style that people should engage in if they want to get into the present moment? Like,
Yeah,
how would
sure.
you tell them to approach
Well,
it?
it's a good question. Most of people breathe have three kind of I'm going to say ways of breathing that are not productive. One is simply holding the breath. I would encourage you and all the listeners to just become aware for the next hour while you're listening to this podcast. Become aware how often you hold your breath. Just tune in. Oh wow, I'm holding my breath.
Yeah.
Okay, so holding the breath. I want to go through this first, then I'll get to your question. Holding the
Okay.
breath, breathing very shallowly, like, or breathing very
Yeah.
irregularly.
Yeah.
Okay, it's so simple. First thing to do is just let the air out. It's like kind of squeezing the balloon, meaning you don't have to do anything, you don't have to push it, just let the air out, exhale. So first thing I work with people on is tuning into the exhale. Why? Because most of the time people are in some way holding their breath. So you exhale. So feel the exhale go down. Do it now. And if you're listening or tuned into this podcast, just do it now. Exhale. Good. And now inhale. So you're exhaling down. The belly breath generally is better, but don't stick out your belly. Don't think about your waistline. None of that. Just just breathe. Okay. Inhale, exhale. Now I'm gonna add to this a little bit.
Hmm.
There's another tool that's very important here for staying in the present toward accepting, and that's what I call grounding. Grounding means actually do this now, feeling the chair you're sitting in against your legs and your butt and your back, and feel the floor supporting your feet if your feet are on the floor. Right? Now combine both. Exhale, and as you exhale, let it go down, and as you're exhaling, feel the chair, feel the floor. Good. And now inhale and exhale. It's so simple. Right? What happens is our mind starts to take off in some direction or another, usually to the past or the future. And we lose the connection to the here and now. How many people have been driving on a freeway, for instance, and suddenly you kind of wake up, where have I been for the last 5 minutes? When I do this in front of any
Hmm.
audience all over the world, most people raise their hand. Well, think about it. That's incredibly dangerous. People are not being present. It's a wonder that there aren't 40,000 million accidents. And I'll tell you another
Hmm.
thing. My wife and I spend half the year in India every year, and the driving is just from an American
I've
point of
been
view,
there.
it's, yeah, of course, it's insane. Now, I wouldn't
Yeah.
label it that. Why? Because people just adapt to it. There's no, you do hear horns, but if you were to do that
Hmm.
here, people would be screaming at each other. They
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
accept it. They just go with the flow. So anyway, so that, but I say regularizing, deepening the breath. Again, the meditators for thousands of years have been telling us this, and we're still not getting it, which is, it's
Hmm.
so simple.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Now, is there a reason why people tend to just hold their breath? Like, is it simply because they're, I guess, waiting for something to happen, so they're like not again in the present moment? Like, is that the
That's
main reason why people
Yeah,
hold their breath and stuff like that?
that's. I don't know if it's the main reason, but it's definitely a reason. Waiting for something you want to happen, right? Yes,
Hmm.
you've already projected yourself into an unknown and it hasn't happened future, right? Or something's happening that you didn't want to happen, or you just want to be in control in some way. So that there is that kind of holding rather than in the flowing, right? So imagine you're in a river, and while you're in the river, you throw down an anchor. The river is going, but you're stuck. So the key is to be able to really, truly, deeply trust the flow of life of which you are in. But most people have a hard time with that because there's nothing wrong with them. There's no, don't have psychological issues they can develop. It's just because we're not trained that way. We're not
Hmm.
trained to be in the flow of life, in the uh, in the changingness of things. Things are changing all the time. We want to hold on to something. Well, you hold on to your breath, hold on to the present. It sounds incredibly simple, and I'm sure there are people listening or watching this podcast who are rolling their eyes and going, "I don't know, this guy." I've had all that happen.
Uh huh.
Um, it's not coming from me, folks. I mean, this has been around for a few thousand years, and I want to tell you something. This is important. I'm saying this. This is my 78th year on this planet. I'm
That's
saying this.
wild.
Yeah, I know. Well,
No, like
people.
you're on point. Trust me.
Yeah, okay. But you know why? Is because I've
Hmm.
had to apply all of this in my life. You're asking me about addiction. I don't mind sharing that I have been in recovery from two addictions for 37 years. I still go to 12 step meetings. So I know this terrain. My life was a mess
Hmm.
and I messed it up. And at the same point, I was achieving things and I was, getting recognized for things and I was successful. I was making money, but there was a whole separation undercurrent of all kinds of behaviors that were very unproductive, ultimately very hurtful to myself and to other people. And I stopped that. So I'm talking from very deep personal authority, including working with people who are stuck and want to get unstuck. It's totally possible. Anybody who's listening to this who's stuck in an addiction, I will tell you, you are not stuck forever. You have to get connected. It's connection, disconnection. Go back to that again, right? Addiction is a function of disconnection. I'm disconnected from my true self, disconnected from God or higher power, disconnected from other people. I just want to control everything. I need that drink. I need that pornography. I need that sex. I need that whatever it is, right? No, you don't. You don't need it. You have habituated yourself to it. Get some help. There's help all over the place. 12 step groups, free all over the world. Thousands of people have recovered from addiction. Find a local 12 step group and start going.
Hmm.